All right, we're going to cover quickly here how you export a tin to neutral objects and make sure that those objects are neutral. There's a tendency sometimes to grab too much stuff when trying to export a tin to just standard either contours or standard triangles. There's lots of ways to export tins: DEMs, DTMs, XML, but sending to neutral DWG, 3D face format, or contour format is probably one of the better ways, especially as you can learn to visualize by differentiating your existing and proposed surfaces by either contours or triangles to get a nice visual style for visualization of design. Things like sight distance and passing distance and just logic of pedestrian or other vehicular interactions become a lot more obvious. So first thing you've got to learn is you've got to learn to go over towards the surfaces and manage and read and reconnaissance. So in this case, we have obviously some design surfaces because they're called datum and top, and then an existing surface, Tyler Civil. Learn to go to those and have a lot of these surfaces turned off when you're exporting. So you train your surface properties to no display on that one, and surface properties to no display on that one. And on this one, I'm going to go ahead and put these out, surface properties. I'm going to put it on some sort of triangle that I know. There's all kinds of different forms, just some sort of triangles, and then later on you can kind of learn to switch layers of those entities when you get them out in either AutoCAD, 3D Max, 3ds Max, or Sketchup, or Revit, whatever you're going to be using. You can see here later on this is going to be a useful render material thing here when you want to go into the visualization here. Remember in the definition, the build operations, that max triangle length, right, should not be set to some short number there. It should be pretty long. I don't know why that looks here, maximum triangle length, and the build is 000, but I must have done an override. So that's where you change that. How do you go about exporting a surface then? Well, you click on the surface, you extract objects, you just want the triangles, you hit OK. I would suggest that you first have saved your drawing, you go through all this, and then you just quit out. That'll allow you to avoid doing a lot of the typical layering mistakes that we sometimes have a problem with. So once you've done that, you go to isolate layer. The command is lay ISO, or escape, 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 lay ISO. You grab and you get one triangle. I'm going to suggest that you now do this. Figure out what your bottom left corner is going to be. Draw a line from that elevation up 2,000 feet. That's so you have a nice common nearby reference point. So I'm going to say now line from 2,200,000. Bottom left section corner is a reasonable one to do it, and then 0, and then at 0 at. It created a 0 length line there, which is kind of cool. That's all you really need, but I'm going to do an undo here. Line from 2,200,000, comma 0 at 0, comma 0, comma 2,000. That's going to give you a common reference line. So now when you do your W block, you're going to go ahead and select a place you know that you're going. I'm going to do this December 1st in this case. Just going to give it someplace that you know where it's going. You must make sure it's an 04 drawing. You're going to make sure that your units are either feet or unitless. You're going to select your objects either with quick select, which is a great one to start learning to use because you see all the different things that are in this drawing. I'm just going to actually do the 3D faces. Okay, and that would have grabbed all the 3D faces. I can do a quick select here, and now I can select my object, which is my line or window here. I'm going to grab that line. Now I've only got one, so let me go back through and hit a cancel here, or just select all my objects. For learning to use the quick select is worthwhile. Your 0, 0, 0 point is logical. I'm sticking it out to there. I hit OK. I would suggest that you quit out of this. You go ahead and say yes. I don't know. No probably works just as fine. That tells you probably have too much stuff out there, so you're going to need to reopen this up in AutoCAD and check what extra stuff you have. It's a signal that SketchUp or some of these other programs might not grab that information. So I'm going to hit close here on that. I'm going to just do undo a couple of times. Not the best thing to do. And I'm going to go back to here and click on that, and I realize that is back to the surface. It's not individual objects. I can now go back to my surfaces, and I'm going to do the other export. I'm going to go to this, and this time I'm going to right-click Surface Properties, turn that to No Display, kind of a key one. You have to realize No Display, the only way you're getting it back is by going to the prospector, like you remember from your first class in Civil 3D. I'm now going to go to the datum top, right-click Surface Properties. I can go ahead and P triangles is a reasonable place to put it. I'm going to hit Apply, hit OK. You go through the same process again. What is the process? You select the surface, you extract objects, you only want the triangles. You hit OK. You should have set that surface out. You extracted the objects. Now you go ahead, you can hit Escape, and you hit Lay ISO, L-A-Y-I-S-O. Lay ISO, nice one to know. You've now got that. You're going to do the same thing here. Line from 2 million. That is just because some of these programs do not hold the datum as sanctimoniously as others do. And so I'm going to say here at 2000, comma, I'm sorry, you got to use the at, you got to look at it, at 2000, comma, I'm sorry, 0, 0, 2000. I'm just drawing a line straight up from 0, 0 to 2,000 feet. It's there, and now once again the W block, W-B-L-O-C-K. You select where you're going. You want to be, you're checking that it's an 04 drawing. You hit Save. You select your objects. Even though you've got this point, you still put it out at 0, 0, 0. Feet is good. You hit that and you are done. Hit yes. In this case, you know it did not grab any extra objects. I didn't get that error message. Maybe I did. So what you're going to see is that's a signal that you may need to go and do one more right block from within AutoCAD. But for the most part, you've got them out. I'm going to just do a couple of undos here. What I would generally say is you just save your drawing, do these, and quit out. Doing these massive undos is probably not the best thing in the world. Right block is nice. It sends it out of the drawing someplace, and immediately you can open it up in AutoCAD or SketchUp as an import. So we're just going to see that. I'm going to leave this out, and this is an example of what you will be working on. It is a tin that has a proposed surface through it, so you need to do reconnaissance on your drawings when you start. So File, Save. And what you start is you're building things up in these drawings. Sometimes they're going to get overbuilt. I've built and erased a lot of things here. So that's why sometimes you go down a path, you export it, and you just quit out. So I'm going to go File, Save. I still got a minute or so. File, Exit. Now I'm going to go into SketchUp and expect that it's going to not work on the import, but we're going to try it anyway. The middle step would then be to then go into AutoCAD and do a right block on just your 3D faces and just your lines. It seems to be grabbing up more information than it needs. I will point out that SketchUp 8, the non-pro version, the free version, does not do these kind of imports. And so you need to do it on either get a pro version for 50 or 30 bucks as a student, or in fact just come to campus and do it on this older version. That's why we keep this older version around. So I'm now going to make sure that I go into a new drawing. Every new drawing you want to be predominantly checking your coordinate system. I'm closing this out over here. I'm going to go ahead and check my coordinate system. My coordinates basically, not my system, but decimal You want it to be decimal feet. It makes a difference whether this guy is there or not, Bryce or Susan, but I'm going to now import from a known place, which I don't now remember. I'm going to go back up one here, back up here, transfer data number, let's see. So knowing where your stuff is at. So we're going to go ahead, and I'm just going to try to go ahead and bring one of those in, show you that it does import something. So you're just going to import, and if it works, it works. So I'm going to pause this and look for where I put my stuff, and then I'll be right back. All right, so I put it in Happy Tea Day in this case. So putting these things all the way down in your project files or in C-Temp is probably your best deal. I'm going to go to December 1 here, hit open, see if it comes in. You noticed it came in pretty well. That was your existing surface. And now I can bring in, if you notice, this appears to have the road in there, but that's literally because, one, after you build a road surface, you actually want to project it down and put those triangles so later on you can cut out what is your proposed, especially for places you've got a cut section. The next one, of course, is File, Import. You're going to bring it to Sender 1 Proposed. It probably, if you did everything right, should come in exactly the right spot. And it looks like it did. And these come in as two different blocks. These come in as two different blocks, so I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. If you notice here, I'm going to put my camera right there and then look up. All right, so you see that road is there. You change your eye height, which is in the bottom right. Can't quite see that here. The eye height is you change that there, and you key in where you want it to be. You click over to here, and maybe I want that to be 1,000 feet. And now I'm at the spot where I can really do some visualization. So that's how you bring surfaces about. You have an ability to walk, and that, I'm going to tell you, this Viz tool, the comment from Nick, I guess, would be one of the students I know that's working on this stuff. It's a great Viz tool. It's actually a great design tool here, but right now you have the ability to turn on shadows. You have the ability to do things like sections. I'm going to put a section through here. Cut that section, we can kind of move that section down. Incredible amounts of things. That's how you do it. Generally, you want to save your drawing, bring in a surface at a time, put the surface style to triangles, click on the surface, export or extract objects, and then isolate. Put that common line or point or set of points so things come in nicely, and then they will all nicely import. If they do not import, you reopen that drawing in AutoCAD and just reblock out just your 3D faces and your lines. That gets you to the point where you can be easily running cars and cameras up and down the road. Thanks for listening.